4 years ago, we bought this abandoned piece of land to try to find another way of living. And so far, we have been setting up our base camp, discovering things in the land, and building with reused stuff, like this fridge box. Last episode, you saw us taking a lot of unusable parts from it, but today we are going to start to build the inside. So this trailer will start to look like a house. Welcome to a new Project Kamp update.
So after the whole stripping and drying process, we are finally able to start building in the fridge box. Took for ages, but here we are. So we picked up some boards from the sawmill we're going to use as framing material. The framing goes on the bottom, the sides and the ceiling. The framing then gets a layer of paneling material. Depending where it is, it's going to be the basketball floor we used before. And we also found some other paneling material. But let me show which boards we got for the framing. These are the panels we have used in the office for paneling. But for the fridge box we actually use them as the framing for the paneling and for the floor and the ceiling. Because it's the right thickness we need and they're pretty straight and good. We will cut them in half because now they're 120 millimeters, which is a bit wide, so 60 millimeters is good. Jaime built last year a kind of a table saw, so we're going to use this to split all of them in half, and then afterwards we can put them down. Let's go. So I'm going to start with the ceiling, and as you can see we have all these holes in the ceiling. They are leftovers from the rail system which was attached here. You can actually see that in our previous update. And instead of drilling new holes into the ceiling, we just decided to use those holes. They're a little bit heavy and overkill for our very light framing, but it's just nice. We have an M8 thread and we can just thread a bolt in there and attach our framing. Let's go.
So you only need a stool.
This is perfect because it's not only one spot. You can walk to the right, you can walk to the left, and I can reach basically all my holes.
Wow. Innovation.
So we have our 3D model here. As you can see, we already decided where the paneling goes, where the dividing wall is. And one thing we now have to do is decide where the sockets go, where we have the switches for the light. And the easiest to do is actually drawing on the wall. The red lines are basically where our cable's running. This is a box where we have a little junction. One cable goes to a socket over there. And this is the cable coming all the way to the switch. I mean, here it's going to be the door. Then you have the switch, and then it goes further up, all the way along this wall, and then up to the ceiling where the light will be.
We got the basket court boards delivered, just in time to start the paneling. We've been using them quite often in our project. It's such a good deal. but as a reused material, it comes with an extra bit of work.
You can see here you have some leftovers we have to take out, and the tongue and groove sometimes are broken, sometimes are a little bit filled. So that's step number one, cleaning all this up and then putting it in. Now where we are in the middle, we actually have to make a hole because this is where the ceiling lamp goes. So last board, we have to cut it to 9 centimeters. This is the last board. As you can see, it has to go there, and then the whole ceiling is done. Let's put it in. So we're done. A nice basketball floor, ceiling, and yeah, you can play basketball. Next one will be the wall, but that's for another day.
Roof done.
Our next step will be building a wall here. This is going to be a bedroom, and this is going to be the living space. And we have a little Z wall. So here we have a wall which is closed, and then there will be the entrance between the two rooms. Let's go. The wood has arrived. This pile of wood is going to be the frame for the middle wall. This pile of wood is actually a different project. And I put all my measurements down, so you can see how many and which length I need, and now I'm gonna cut them. All the wood is cut now, we have all the beams we need for the wall, and now we can start building. And we made a 3D drawing to see what we have to build. And I'm just gonna follow this one.
We assembled the frame for the middle wall and we are ready to bring it into the fridge box. But we need to check some details first.
Well, you've seen in the previous update, the truck driver tried to level this container, but it's not 100% level. It's good, but not perfect. So we can't use a level to actually build our wall. So what we're doing, we're using a reference point, and the reference point is our back wall here, and then we're measuring the distance on the bottom, measuring the distance on the top, and then we have this little marks. Same on the floor. This is our line, this tape, so it's all measured instead of with the level. The beam has to be flush against the wall, but now these rails here are in the way. So we're gonna notch out a little bit here in the wood, and then the beam can actually go flush against the wall. We have placed our first beam for the door. It's this one, because the door is, the hinges go there and this one has to be perfectly straight. That's why we had to put here some wedges in to get this beam a little bit off the wall, because the whole wall isn't fully straight. And then we can basically take this one as a reference point and build a perfect square where our door goes in. Closed. You can't see me anymore, can you? We have finished the wall, or at least the framing of the wall. Now everything is set to be paneled, and we're gonna panel this wall with the same basketball floor as the ceiling here. Let's go. We finished paneling the door, and now we have this little edge here, so the paneling is a little bit higher than the door frame, so the door actually touches this. But now we can use this as a reference and just router the extra material away. We have finished this side of the wall, everything is paneled. Next step will be paneling the other side of this wall. But before we can actually panel this side, we have to do all the electronics, because then we can actually panel this wall as well. This is the cutout. We have the electric box here, and this is my little piece which has to go in. But now it doesn't stay, and that's why I'm gonna put two big washers here. So we have something A, where the magnets can grab onto, and B, something in the back so you can't push it too far. is going to be the place where the electricity comes from the outside into our trailer. So now we have to drill a hole here so we can feed the cable. All 5 cables are wired and pulled, 1 power line, and then 4 cables that go to different locations in the bedroom, in the living room, and for example here to the switch, which then goes all the way into the ceiling and to the light. Now I can panel this wall. The dividing wall, and here we're gonna have 2 sockets for the kitchen because this is the kitchen area. So now we're gonna drill 2 sockets. There you have it, 2 very nice brushless plastic recycled sockets for our kitchen. For the fridge box, we have this fuse box laying around. It's empty currently, and I want to build a box for it because it's actually be placed under the trailer and not inside. So it needs a little box around so I can screw it onto, and then there will be a cable coming with a plug which has to be sit, so it's in a small little box under the trailer.
Okay, done. While doing the electrics, before paneling the back wall, we also sealed the side door of the trailer. We also sealed the side door of the trailer. Feels like it's airtight. You might be wondering why we decided to close this door and not going for this as the entrance, but we decided to go for the back door design for different reasons. One is for the sake of testing. Last year we made this side entrance in the pig trailer, so this year we want to try out a new thing, so we go for the back door entrance, just for the sake of testing. And anyway, this door would have some problems in order to be reused. First, that is a huge door, so it wouldn't be the best solution as an entrance for a house anyway. We would need to work it out, we need to make another door probably, another locks, so not the best idea. And also, the fact that this door is so huge and is in the side would compromise the whole layout of the space inside. So, for getting more freedom in the space design, we also decided to go for the door in the other back doors. And now we are gonna go to continue with the floor.
The first step for our floor will be the framing. We're gonna use the same material for the framing we used before. There's 22mm wooden beams. But because the floor of the fridge box isn't straight, we have to fill up A, these gaps, and B, put little pieces under here, so the whole floor will be level. As you can see, we built our frame. It's already attached always in the middle because this is our highest point. And now on the outside we actually have to fill the gaps, push it a little bit up so these ones are actually level, and over the whole thing makes a plane. We used our planer to make some distance pieces up to 3mm. So those ones we can now use to fill under the gaps to level the whole thing. Okay. We finished with the framing here, but this part here was the most smelly part of all of them. The smell is kind of good, and we decided to not put any plastic layer or something down, but we're gonna have some vinegar here, and if it comes to worse, we can still take the floor out on a later stage. So it's designed, we changed the design that the floor on each room can be taken out without taking anything else off. So if the smell is still there, or it comes back, or something else, you'll be able to just take the floor out. First board of the floor is in. As you can see, we aligned it with the wall there. So actually the planks go all the way through from the floor into the wall and then into the ceiling. Let's go! Goes in. After this, we're finished. Let's do it.
Centimeter and a half, right?
Sorry?
1 centimeter and a half.
Floor is done. Next step, the walls.
First step for the walls is putting down some framing, and we're gonna screw it into the wall because the fridge box, they have vertical metal strip running down the wall. So here you can see this is a magnet. You can snap it to this. If you place it further left, here it's not holding, and then here you have another strip. And we bought some screws for it, so you have self-tapping screws. They have this little tap in the front, so we can straightly drill into the metal strip. holes we have two different panel materials. This here, which was a door, or meant to be a door of a cupboard I guess. And then we have this plywood here. Both were found in the scrapyard we visited. Both need a little bit of love. And our plan is to cut this one in half and then flip the lower part and then put them next to each other. And those plywood parts will get on top with half of them overlapping, so it looks a little bit like a brick wall. Our brown panels in half, so now they can go all along as a first row on the side, and on top here there will be the multiplex. The lighter panels will be placed, but if you place them side to side you can actually see they have a little bit of a height difference, so that's why we plane this little distance piece. This goes behind the brown panel, and then there we have a nice flush surface. So let's put them on. Cut the holes for the two sockets here. You see I already prepared the cables here. But the problem is this middle piece, it's not attached to the wall, and therefore if you pull a plug and push a plug in, this one has quite some flex. So I want to attach it somewhere hidden behind the plugs to the wall, to the framing, so it's solid to pull and push the plugs in. Made a little mount, or a thicker framing if you want to call it like this, and now our panel sits in front and can be screwed into. The panel is fixed, and the two sockets, which are actually made out of precious plastic, are fixed. So now the last panel, the corner panel, can be cut and placed.
With the first row in, we start the framing for the next one, which will use the other planks we found in the scrapyard.
Okay, now we're gonna sand these boards. They've been divided based on their dimensions, so give them a sand, give them a little bit of chamfer on the edge, and then mount them in the fridge box.
John until Your Honor. You can see we screwed this small 10mm plywood onto the metal structure, and now this in total is the same height as our normal framing, and therefore we can just put the next paneling on and it will be on the same surface or the same frame, no not frame, plane as everything else. We will now panel this wall. This is the bedroom wall, and it will only get the plywood paneling.
So we are almost halfway in the process. We have finished the first wall with these two different woods that we found in the scrapyard. We finished the floor, the middle wall and the ceiling, all with the basketball floor, a classic already here. And now next step would be to finish up that wall. As you can see, we already draw the windows here. I can see myself looking at the mimosa fields around. But this wall has a bit more complexity because we need to open the windows, we need to make holes. We are going to reuse some windows, which adds a level of complexity in order to build all these things. But for that, now Till is leaving, but John Conti and Julien will take on this project, and I'm sure it's going to be perfect. But that will be for a future update. You can support us in Patreon. If not, you can subscribe, hit the bell, and see you in the next update. Thanks for watching.